If you lay a finger on my brother, you'll have to kill me too. And I guarantee it won't be easy. The words came out before I could think, before paralyzing fear had a chance to silence me, before logic screamed that I was signing my death warrant. The 6 men in black suits around the room tensed, hands moving discreetly toward hidden weapons. But I didn't look at them. I kept my eyes fixed on the man behind the desk. Adrian Constantine, the name that made people cross the street, the name whispered with fear in every corner of Silverton City, the most dangerous man I had ever met, and I had just threatened him, in his territory. Surrounded by his men, he didn't move. He just studied me with those gray eyes, cold, calculated, as if he were deciding exactly how much suffering to inflict before the end. The silence stretched, every second feeling like an eternity. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure everyone in the room could hear it. But I didn't back down. I couldn't. Because Lucas, my idiot 24-year-old brother, had done something unforgivable. He had crossed a line he shouldn't have crossed. And now Adrian Constantine wanted revenge. So I came here. Alone. Unarmed. With no plan other than to look into the eyes of the city's most feared man and do what no one else would. Confront him. And then something happened that I didn't expect. Something that would change absolutely everything. Adrian Constantine leaned back in his chair, and he smiled. Not a cruel or threatening smile, but something different. Something akin to respect. Interesting, he said, his voice with a slight Russian accent. You know, I get 10 visitors a day. Everyone wants something. Everyone is afraid. Everyone lies, fawns, begs. It's boring. He stood up, walked around the desk. Each step deliberate, measured, dangerous. But you, he continued, stopping a few feet from me. You walk into my office, into my territory, surrounded by my men. And instead of begging, instead of crying, you threaten me, look directly into my eyes, and defy me. He tilted his head, studying me like a rare work of art. Finally, he said, and there was something new in his voice. Something I couldn't identify. Finally, someone real. My stomach dropped. Because his tone, it wasn't that of a man about to order an execution. It was that of a man who had just found something interesting. Something he wanted to explore. And that was infinitely more dangerous. Sit, he said, pointing to the chair in front of his desk. It wasn't an invitation. It was an order. You and I, we're going to have a very long conversation about your brother, about you, and about how your future just completely changed. And as I sat in that chair, as he returned to his place, all I could think was, what did I just do? I came here to save my brother. But in the process, I just threw myself right into the line of fire. And the most dangerous man in Silverton City? He was smiling. And I didn't know if that was good news, or if it was the beginning of my end. Let me go back a bit. Let me tell you how I got to that office, how I ended up sitting across from the most dangerous man in Silverton City, and why my idiot brother was about to be killed. My name is Mira Castellano. I'm 27 years old, and I'm an architect specializing in historical restoration and preservation. I know, it's not a glamorous profession. I don't get rich. But it's what I love. I grew up in Silverton City, in a small house near the historical district. My father was a history teacher, my mother, a librarian, and since childhood, they taught me to value the past, to understand that old buildings are not just structures. They are living memory. They are history that can be touched. When I was 18, my parents died in a car accident. It was just me and Lucas, my brother 5 years younger. I raised him. I paid for his college while finishing mine. I gave everything I could to ensure he had a better future. And Lucas? Lucas was always a good kid. Intelligent. Talented with technical drawing. He became my assistant at the architecture firm where I work. But he had a problem. A problem I had tried to ignore for years. Lucas didn't know how to say no. He didn't know how to identify the wrong people. And 3 weeks ago, that problem exploded spectacularly. Lucas was working on a large project, the redesign of a commercial area downtown, a confidential project, a $1 billion project. And the client? It was Adrian Constantine. At the time, I didn't know who he really was. I only knew he was a rich developer. Powerful. with connections that made things happen. But I should have researched more. I should have asked questions. Because 2 days ago, I found out. I found out that Lucas had leaked confidential plans for the project. He had given them to an investigative journalist. Not for money, but because the journalist had convinced him that Adrian was planning something illegal, that he was demolishing a protected historical building, and Lucas, my idealistic and naive brother, he believed it. He thought he was doing the right thing, exposing corruption, saving historical heritage, so he leaked the plans. And 15 minutes after the story went online, 3 men in black suits showed up at our office. They took Lucas, and they left a message for me. Adrian Constantine wants a word. Today, 5 o'clock. Come alone or your brother dies. Simple as that. Direct. Terrifying. So I researched, frantically, and I discovered the truth. Adrian Constantine was not just a developer. He was the head of the Bratva, the Russian mafia. He laundered money through real estate projects. He controlled half the city's illegal businesses. And my brother? He had just publicly exposed his operation. He had painted a giant target on our backs. Any sane person would have gone to the police, would have asked for protection, would have fled. But me? I couldn't. Because the police didn't mess with Adrian Constantine. Because protection didn't exist against a man with his resources. And because fleeing meant abandoning Lucas. So I did the only thing I could. I went to that office. I faced the man everyone feared, and I bet everything on a single move. I bet that courage would be worth more than fear. That truth would be worth more than flattery. And that maybe, just maybe, I could negotiate my brother's life. I didn't know I was about to negotiate much more than that. I was about to negotiate my own freedom, my future, my entire life. And the man across the desk, he knew it from the moment I walked in. He always knew. Adrian Constantine returned to his chair. He sat down with the casual elegance of a man completely in control, while I was stiff as a statue, trying not to show the fear that threatened to consume me. So, he began, picking up a glass of whiskey that was on the desk. He took a slow sip, savoring it. Mira Castellano, 27 years old, architect, specializing in historical preservation, orphaned at 18, raised her brother alone, works 60 hours a week, lives in a small apartment in the East District. No debts, no vices, clean record. He paused, looking at me, until her brother decided to stick his nose where it didn't belong. How do you know all that? I did my research, he said simply, as I always do. And you know what I found? I found that you are exactly what you appear to be. Honest, hardworking, idealistic. You believe in doing what is right, even when it costs you. He leaned back. It's rare, especially in this city, in this world. So when my men said you wanted to see me, that you came alone, I was curious, very curious. Where is my brother? I asked, getting straight to the point. I need to know he's alive. He's alive, Adrian said. For now, in a safe room, being treated very well. Considering that he cost me $3 million in damages when he leaked those plans. Considering that his exposure drew the attention of people I would prefer not to be looking. Considering that his actions put an entire operation at risk. Yes, considering all that, he is being treated very well. What do you want? I asked. That's why I came here, to negotiate, so name your price. How much is my brother's life worth? Adrian smiled, not a gentle smile, but the smile of a chess player who has just seen 20 moves ahead. Ah, Mira, it's not about money. It never was about money. It's about principle. Your brother disrespected me, publicly. And in my world, disrespect has only one answer. He paused, letting the words sink in. Unless, he continued, there is a compelling reason to show mercy, a reason worth more than the example I need to make. Then I'm here, I said, giving you that reason. I came, alone, unprotected, without witnesses. I faced you. Doesn't that count for something? It counts for a lot, he admitted. It counts for your life, because anyone else who threatened me like you did would be dead by now. But you are interesting. And interest? Interest buys time. How much time? It depends, he said, standing up again, this time coming around the desk, stopping too close, deliberately invading my space. It depends on whether you are willing to do what it takes to save your brother. I'll do anything, I replied before thinking. Anything that doesn't involve hurting other people. Anything legal. Anything my conscience allows. He laughed. A low sound. Almost appreciative. See? That's it. That brutal honesty. That clear moral line. It's refreshing. Everyone around me lies. Says what I want to hear. Does anything for approval. But you set conditions, even when your brother's life is at stake. Because I have principles, I said. And principles don't disappear because the situation is difficult. Disappear? That's when they matter most. He studied my face. Long. Intense. As if he were making an important decision. Finally, he nodded. Fine. Here is my offer. My only offer. Your brother lives. His debt is forgiven. He goes free. Completely free. Relief flooded me so strongly I nearly collapsed. But then he continued. In exchange, you work for me. As an architect. Full-time. For 1 year. What? You heard me. 1 year. You redesign my projects. You do what you did when you confronted me. Preserve historical heritage while giving me the development I need. Make my operations legal. Clean. Beyond any suspicion. That's blackmail. That's business, he corrected. A very fair business. Your brother lives. You use the skills you already have. Do work you theoretically love. And in 1 year, you both walk free. Debt paid. I can't just drop my life, I protested. I have a job. Responsibilities. You had a job, he said. Because I made a call 15 minutes ago. Your boss now believes you are taking a sabbatical. An international project. An incredible opportunity. He wishes you luck. How dare you? How dare I ensure you have no excuses, he interrupted. No loopholes, nothing but a simple choice. 1 year of your life for your brother's life. Yes or no. Simple as that. I looked at him. At the man who had just rearranged my entire life with one phone call. Who had cornered me so completely that there was no real choice. And I realized this was never a negotiation. It was always about his control. About demonstrating power. About forcing me to accept his terms. But I also realized something else. I realized that if I said no, Lucas died. And I would have to live, knowing I could have saved him and chose not to. There was no real choice. There never was. 1 year, I finally said. Only 1 year. After that, my brother and I walk free. Completely free. You have my word, he said. And then he extended his hand, sealing the deal. I looked at that hand, knowing that shaking it would change everything. That I was agreeing to work for the most dangerous man in the city. That I was entering a world I didn't understand. A world that could destroy me. But also knowing it was the only way to save Lucas. The only way to ensure he lived. So I shook it. And the moment our hands touched, Adrian Constantine smiled again. Welcome to my world, Mira Castellano. Something tells me the next year is going to be very interesting. And damn if he wasn't completely right. The next morning, I stood in front of the glass skyscraper in downtown Silverton City, headquarters of Constantine Development. 30 floors of luxury, power, and money. And at the top, Adrian's office. My new boss, my new jailer. For an entire year. I took a deep breath, adjusted my bag on my shoulder, and walked in. The lobby was everything I expected. Marble, steel, expensive modern art. A beautiful receptionist who looked at me as if I were an insect. Mira Castellano, I managed to say, my voice firmer than I felt. Mr. Constantine is expecting me. She checked her computer. Her expression shifted from disdain to surprise, then to something akin to pity. 29th floor, private elevator on the right. He said to go up directly. Thank you. The elevator was mirror and mahogany. Fast. Silent. And it gave me too much time to think. To question every choice that led me here. To wonder if I had made a terrible mistake. But then I remembered. Lucas was alive. I had seen him last night, after signing all the paperwork. He was scared but whole. And free. Adrian had kept his word. At least on that. The doors opened on the 29th floor, and I immediately realized this was not a normal corporate floor. It was different. more private, more luxurious, more dangerous. An elegant, middle-aged woman was waiting for me. "Miss Castellano, I'm Irina, Mr. Constantine's executive assistant. Please follow me." She guided me down a hallway. We passed meeting rooms, offices, people working who stopped to look at me as I passed, all with the same expression: curiosity, pity, as if they knew something I didn't. We finally stopped in front of a double door. Dark mahogany, imposing. "Mr. Constantine is waiting for you," Irina said. Then, softer, almost gentle, "Advice. Be honest. He values that above all else. But choose your battles. Not all wars are worth fighting." Before I could ask what that meant, she knocked and opened the door. Adrian was behind a massive desk. Impeccable dark gray suit, reading glasses I hadn't seen yesterday, reviewing scattered architectural plans. He looked every inch the successful businessman, not a criminal. "Mira," he said, taking off his glasses. "Punctual. Good. I hate delays. Good morning to you too." He almost smiled. "Come in. Close the door. We have a lot of work." I walked in, closed the door, and immediately felt a difference. Yesterday, his office had been a battlefield. Today it looked like a normal office. Almost safe. Almost. "Sit," he said, pointing to the chair in front of the desk. "I need to brief you on the first project." I sat down, rigid, ready for anything. He pushed plans across the desk. "Century Theater," he said. "The project your brother exposed. The project that caused all this trouble. We will start with it." I looked at the drawings, and immediately I saw it. I saw exactly what Lucas had seen. I saw that the original project called for complete demolition. A historical theater from 1920, beautiful Art Deco architecture, would be destroyed, replaced by a generic luxury apartment tower. "You were really going to demolish that?" I asked, unable to hide my horror. "It's a protected building. There are laws." "There are laws," he agreed. "And there are ways to circumvent laws when you have the right lawyers and pay the right people." Yes, I was going to demolish it, because financially, it makes sense. A 40-story tower on that land yields 10 times more than renovating an old theater. "But yesterday you said—" "I said you could propose something better," he interrupted. "Something that preserves the historical facade and gives me my apartments. So here is the challenge. You have 2 weeks. Redesign the project. Show that it's possible. Show that you weren't just talking." I picked up the plans. I studied them. My mind already starting to work. Seeing possibilities. Seeing how the theater could be preserved. The facade maintained. The interior transformed into something new but respectful. And behind it, the apartment tower. Connected but separate. Preservation and development. History and future. "I can do this," I finally said. "But it will cost more. It will delay the schedule. It will require special approvals." "I don't care about the cost," he said. "I don't care about the delay. I care about the result. About legality. About not having prosecutors investigating me. So make it work." He leaned back. "You will work here. On this floor. The office next to mine is already prepared. A team of 5 architects and engineers at your disposal. Unlimited budget. Unlimited resources. The only rule, you report to me. Directly. Daily. I will know exactly what you are doing. That's a lot of control. That's a guarantee," he corrected. "A guarantee that you don't make the same mistake as your brother. Don't leak information. Don't decide to play the heroine. Just do the work, brilliantly. As I know you can. I'm not my brother," I defended. "I won't betray confidences. I still don't know if I trust you," he said honestly. "Trust is built. With time. With actions. For now, close surveillance is necessary." He stood up. Walked to the window, looking down at the city below. "Do you know why I accepted your proposal yesterday?" he asked. "Because it made financial sense? Partially. But mainly, because you challenged me. Because you were the first person in years to look at me and tell me the truth. Not what I wanted to hear, but the raw truth. And that is worth gold in my world." He turned, facing me, So keep doing it. Keep being honest. Keep challenging me when you think I'm wrong. But, and his voice hardened, never betray me. Never disrespect me publicly. Never make me look weak. Because the mercy I showed yesterday, it won't be repeated. Understood. Understood. Good. Irina will show you your office. Introduce you to the team. And Mira. Yes? Welcome officially. Something tells me you are going to make this year much more interesting than you expected. I left that office with the plans in my hands and my mind racing. Because Adrian Constantin was an enigma. Cruel but fair. Dangerous but honest. A criminal but seeking legality. And I had just agreed to work for him. To spend the next year in his orbit. Trying to balance principles with survival. Trying to do the right thing in a world where right and wrong were negotiable. I just didn't know it yet. I didn't know that working with Adrian would change more than my career. It would change who I was. It would change what I believed. And eventually, it would change what I felt. For him. My new office was stunning. A glass room with a view of the city. Designer desk. State-of-the-art equipment. Digital drawing board. 3D printer for models. An entire library of building codes and architecture books. It was any architect's dream, except for the reason I was there. The team arrived 15 minutes later. 5 people, all older than me, all clearly experienced, and all looking at me with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Let me introduce you, Irina said. Marcus, senior structural engineer. Yuki, interior design specialist. David, project manager. Sophia, restoration architect, and James, zoning lawyer. I greeted them all, trying to look confident, as if I belonged. You will be working directly with Miss Castellano, Irina continued. She leads the Century Theater project. Her approvals are final. Questions go to her first, then to Mr. Constantine if necessary. I saw the expressions change. Surprise, some resentment, especially from Marcus, a man in his 40s who clearly expected to lead. Any questions? Irina asked. Uncomfortable silence. Then Marcus spoke. With all due respect, he said, not sounding respectful. Miss Castellano is quite young to lead a project of this magnitude. Does she have the necessary experience? I have 7 years of experience in historical restoration, I replied, keeping my voice calm. I have worked on 12 preservation projects. 3 of them won state awards. And as for this specific project, I understand the complexities better than anyone in this room. Because unlike you, I won't just follow orders. I will ensure that what we build is legal, ethical, and preserves the heritage that deserves to be preserved. Marcus didn't like it, but he didn't argue. And maybe it was because Irina was there. Or maybe because the tone of my voice made it clear I wouldn't be intimidated. When Irina left, the tension remained, until Sophia, a woman in her 50s with gray hair and kind eyes, spoke. Forgive Marcus, she said. He's worked here for 15 years. He expected a promotion. He's frustrated. I understand the frustration, I said. But I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask to lead. But since I am, I'm going to do the job right. And anyone who wants to help, welcome. Anyone who wants to sabotage, the door is right there. Marcus growled something inaudible. But he stayed. And over the next few days, I understood why. Because working for Adrian Constantine paid 3 times the market salary. Because the benefits were incredible. And because leaving meant explaining why you left. And no one wanted his attention. The first week was intensive. We reviewed the original project, identified problems, started the redesign. And I discovered something surprising. The team, despite initial resistance, was brilliant. Marcus knew structures like no one else. Yuki had an eye for design details. David kept everything on schedule. Sophia knew every preservation law. James navigated bureaucracy like a master. And together we were creating something special. Preserving the theater, adding the tower, making it work. But every afternoon, at 5, I had a ritual. Adrian would call me to his office. A daily report. Initially, I thought it would be an interrogation. Micromanaged review. But it wasn't. It was conversation. He asked questions. Good questions. About design decisions, trade-offs, costs versus benefits. And he listened. He really listened. Sometimes he disagreed, challenged my logic, forced me to defend my choices. But he never dismissed them, never ignored them. And slowly I realized, Adrian Constantine was not a typical criminal boss. He was a businessman, a strategist, who happened to operate outside the law. But his mind was sharp, analytical, impressive. One Friday at the end of the first week, he asked a different question. "Are you happy?" The question caught me by surprise. Happy? What do you mean? With the work, with the team, with the arrangement. "I'm not a prisoner," I said carefully. "I have resources. I do work I love. So no, I'm not unhappy. But I also didn't choose this. So I don't know if happy is the right word." He nodded, appreciating the honesty. "Your brother called you?" "He called. He's fine. Still scared. But fine. Good. And you? Do you have everything you need? Is the new apartment comfortable?" "Wait, how do you know about—" "I provided the apartment," he interrupted. "Closer to the office. More secure. Furnished. Your things were moved yesterday." You moved my things without asking?" "I moved your things because it makes sense," he said. "The old apartment was far. Dangerous. This one is better. And before you protest, it's not controlling. It's practical. Workers need to live close to work, especially when the work is confidential like this." I wanted to argue. I wanted to scream about boundaries, about privacy, but a part of me, a small, traitorous part, admitted it. The new apartment was probably better, and complaining wouldn't change anything. "Thank you," I managed to say, even though I didn't want to, for the practicality. He smiled. Small, genuine. "You are learning," he said. "Learning that not every battle is worth fighting. Learning to choose your wars." "Or," I retorted, "learning to choose battles with a chance of victory. I won't fight impossible ones, but I also won't stop fighting completely." "Good," he said, "because a woman who stops fighting is not the woman who interested me." Interested, past tense, as if the interest was temporary, as if I were a project that would eventually lose its appeal. I didn't know if that relieved me or insulted me. "Go," he said, nodding. "It's the weekend. Rest. Monday we'll review progress with investors. I need you to be sharp. I'm always sharp. We'll see." I left. And as I drove to the new apartment I hadn't chosen, in a new car that had appeared with keys on my desk, I processed it. The first week had been strange, not horrible, not terrifying as I expected, but strange, because Adrian Constantine was a paradox, a criminal who wanted legality, a controller who valued honesty, a dangerous man who showed moments of humanity. And I was starting to see beyond the mask, starting to understand that the most feared man in Silverton City was more complicated than I imagined, and that was dangerous in a completely different way. Monday morning arrived too quickly. I was nervous. A meeting with investors meant presenting the redesign, defending it, convincing rich men that preservation and profit could coexist. Adrian briefed me at 8. "There will be 6 investors," he said. "All put millions into the original project. When your brother's exposure caused problems, they got nervous. Today you calm them down. Show them that the new design works, that it's better." "No pressure," I murmured. He almost smiled. "You can do it. Just be yourself, honest, direct, passionate about the work. They will see it. They will trust it. And Adrian, and me, I need them to trust you. So don't disappoint me." The meeting was at 10. A conference room on the 30th floor, all glass with a panoramic view, a long table, leather chairs, state-of-the-art technology, and 6 men in suits waiting, all 50 or older, all evaluating me with thinly veiled skepticism. "Miss Castellano will present the redesign of the Century Theater," Adrian said, nodding toward me. "Please pay attention. She solved a problem that almost cost $50 million. No more words, just expectation." I took a deep breath. I activated the projector, and I began. The Century Theater was built in 1922, I started, projecting an image of the historical facade. It is a perfect example of American Art Deco, protected by federal law. Demolition is not just illegal, it's politically radioactive. The original project, I continued, switching to the old plans, called for complete demolition. A 40-story tower. Maximum density, maximum profit, but also maximum legal risk. One of the investors interrupted. So we're here to hear that we can't build? No, I replied calmly. You're here to hear that you can build better. I projected the new design. 3D renderings I had spent the week creating. My proposal preserves the historical facade completely. The interior of the theater is restored, transformed into a cultural center, a 500-seat theater, art galleries, cafes, community space. And the profit? Another investor asked. A cultural center doesn't pay the bills. I smiled, because I had expected exactly that question. The profit comes from the tower behind it, I explained, rotating the 3D model, connected to the theater by a glass bridge on the second floor. 35 floors, 120 luxury apartments, each with an unobstructed view because we preserved the low theater in front. I projected the numbers, financial projections that David had helped me compile. The original project promised an 18% ROI in 5 years, I said. My design? 22%. Impossible, the first investor said. It's possible, I countered, because apartments overlooking a historic cultural center are worth 30% more. Because luxury buyers pay a premium for a location with soul, with history, with the prestige of living in a building that preserves, not destroys. More importantly, I continued, this project faces no legal challenges, no preservation groups suing, no politicians blocking it, no negative media. It has quick approvals, a predictable schedule, and built-in marketing as responsible development. Silence fell as they processed it. Then Adrian spoke. The numbers have been verified by 3 independent firms. The projections are conservative. And the added bonus? Political goodwill is worth millions in future projects. How long until approvals? The oldest investor asked. With the correct design? 6 months, I replied. Half the time of the original project because we are not fighting the entire city. And the additional preservation cost? 15 million, I said honestly, but recovered in the increased value of the apartments. Break even in the 3rd year. They exchanged glances, talked softly among themselves, and I waited, my heart pounding, knowing everything depended on this decision. Finally, the eldest spoke. We like it, he said. It's smart, different, and the numbers make sense. You have our approval. Move forward. Relief flooded me so strongly I almost sat down. But, he continued, looking at Adrian, not at me. We need guarantees. This project was compromised once. It cannot happen again. It won't, Adrian said. Miss Castellano has my complete trust and complete surveillance. The investors nodded, satisfied, and the meeting ended. When they left, when it was just Adrian and me, he spoke. Exceptional. You convinced them, you impressed them, and more importantly, you impressed me. I just did my job. You did more than that, he said. You turned a disaster into an opportunity. Exactly what I expected. Exactly why I wanted you. He approached, for the first time, deliberately invading my personal space. Do you know why I accepted your proposal that day? He asked, voice low. It wasn't just because it made sense. It was because I saw something in you. I saw a person who doesn't give up, who doesn't bow down, who faces the impossible and finds a way. I didn't know how to reply. In the next 11 months, he said, we are going to do great things together. You will transform my projects, make them legal, profitable, impeccable. And in exchange, you grow, you learn, you become an architect no one can ignore. It was a tempting offer. Recognition, growth, opportunity, but also a trap. Because the more I invested, the harder it would be to leave. Let's celebrate, he said. Dinner. Tonight. You, me, and the team. My choice of restaurant. It was an order disguised as an invitation. And when I left that conference room, when I returned to my glass office, I realized that Adrian Constantine was a better strategist than I imagined. He wasn't just using me to fix projects. He was trapping me. Gradually, gently, with recognition, respect, opportunities I couldn't find anywhere else. And worse, it was working, because a part of me, a growing and worrying part, was starting to enjoy working with him, was starting to enjoy the challenges, the conversations, the way he listened to me, and that was dangerous. More dangerous than any physical threat, because I was starting to forget that I was there against my will, to forget that he was a criminal, to forget that in 11 months I had to leave. And if I forgot completely, I didn't know who I would be when the year ended. The restaurant Adrian chose was exactly what I expected. 5 stars, incredible view, private reservation, and expensive enough that the menu had no prices. The entire team came. Marcus, Yuki, David, Sophia, James. Everyone clearly uncomfortable but trying to look relaxed. Adrian was in perfect host mode, ordering bottles of wine that cost more than my old month's rent, making jokes, being charming. It was a side of him I hadn't seen. Social, charismatic, dangerously attractive. Stop, my mind whispered. Don't go down that road. We toasted to the success of the meeting, to the team, to the project. And as we ate, the conversation flowed. Work first, then personal. Sophia talked about her children, David about his pregnant wife, Yuki about a recent trip to Japan. And Adrian revealed a surprise. I grew up in Moscow, he said when I asked. I came to the United States at 15. Alone. No family. I built everything from scratch. How? I asked before thinking. How does a 15-year-old build an empire? He looked at me, something flashing in his eyes. Memory. Pain, maybe. Working, he said simply. Any job I could find. Construction. Restaurants. Eventually I met the right people. Learned the business. Took risks others wouldn't take. He left it unsaid. He left it implied that risks meant entering the world we didn't discuss openly. Do you have family in Moscow? Sophia asked gently. Adrian was quiet. For too long a moment. I had, he finally said. A sister. Younger. Anastasia. She was 6 when I left. Had? I repeated, noticing the past tense. He took a long sip of wine. She disappeared. 2 years after I left. Kidnapped. Never found. The table went silent. Everyone processing the revelation. I'm sorry, I managed to say. That must have been awful. It was the reason, he said, looking directly at me. The reason I built what I built. Because having money, power, resources, it means having the tools to find lost people. It means having a way to ensure that what happened to Anastasia doesn't happen to others. I understood then. I understood something fundamental about Adrian Constantine. He wasn't a criminal out of greed. Not for power's sake. He was a criminal because the mafia had resources that the law didn't. Connections that the police didn't have. A reach that the authorities didn't have. And in his twisted world, that justified everything. Do you still look for her? I asked softly. Every day, he said. For 20 years. Every day. And one day, I will find her. Or I will find whoever took her. And then I will have answers. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. And there was something about that promise that was simultaneously terrifying and understandable. The conversation shifted after that. Lighter. But the revelation stayed with me. Because suddenly Adrian wasn't just a one-dimensional criminal. He was a brother who had lost his sister, who never stopped looking. He was a man with a deep wound, who built an empire trying to heal it. And seeing that humanity, it made everything more complicated. After dinner, Adrian offered me a ride. His driver was waiting. I can drop you off at home, he said. On the way. Thank you. But I can call a car. Don't be ridiculous. Get in. It wasn't a request. In the car, the silence was comfortable initially, until he spoke. Thank you, he said. For today, for impressing the investors, for making the project work. I just did what you hired me to do. You did more than that, he insisted. You did it with passion, with integrity. I saw it in their eyes. They didn't trust the project. They trusted you. He paused. Then, you remind me of her. Anastasia. The same stubbornness. The same refusal to give up. Adrian, I began. But he continued. That's why I gave you a chance, he said. That's why when you walked into my office, when I should have eliminated you as a threat. I couldn't, because I saw my sister. I saw a person who fights for what is right, without fear of consequences. I didn't know what to say, because this was a confession. Real vulnerability. We arrived at my building. The driver stopped. "Good night, Mira," Adrian said. "Rest. Next week the approval phase begins. It will be intense. Good night." I got out of the car, but before the door closed, he called out, "Mira, one more thing." "Yes?" "You asked on the first day if I trusted you. The answer is, I'm starting to. And that is rare. Very rare. Don't waste it." It was a warning, a promise, and something more. It was Adrian Constantine letting me see beyond the mask. And as I went up to the apartment, as I processed the whole night, I realized I was in trouble, because I was starting to see Adrian not as the villain of my story, but as a person, complex, wounded, trying to do something meaningful within a twisted world. And that perception, it was more dangerous than anything physical, because empathy led to understanding. Understanding led to justification. Justification led to feelings I couldn't have. No, I wasn't going down that road. Adrian Constantine was my boss. Temporary. In 11 months, I would leave. I would go back to my normal life. This was just a job. Just survival. Nothing more. I kept repeating that, hoping that if I said it enough times, I would start to believe it. The first 3 months passed in a blur. Days merged into weeks. Weeks into months. And a routine settled in a way I hadn't expected. Wake up early. Coffee in the apartment Adrian had provided. Drive in the car Adrian had provided. Work in the office Adrian had created. It was a comfortable life. Very comfortable. And that scared me. Because comfort created complacency. And complacency made me forget that this was temporary. The Century Theater project was progressing beautifully. City council approvals came in record time. Historical preservation groups not only approved, but publicly praised it. The media covered it as an example of responsible development. Adrian was right. The design not only worked, it exceeded expectations. And my reputation? It was growing. Other developers started calling, wanting consultations, wanting to hire my services. But all calls were redirected through Irina, and the answer was always the same. Miss Castellano is exclusively committed to Constantine development for 9 more months. It was a constant reminder. 9 months remaining, then freedom. But 9 months started to feel simultaneously like an eternity, and nothing. Marcus had finally accepted my leadership. After the redesign was unanimously approved, after the investors expressed complete confidence, he stopped questioning every decision. Now we worked well together. We even developed something akin to mutual respect. Yuki had become something like a friend. We had lunch together 3 times a week. She talked about her life, family in Japan, husband who worked too much. And I told her an edited version of mine, about Lucas, about how I had raised him, about the parents I lost. I left out how I ended up working there. I left out the forced agreement. I left out the year of servitude. Sophia had also become close. A woman in her 50s with wisdom that came from decades in the profession. She taught me tricks about navigating preservation politics, about how to talk to historical officials, about the subtleties of codes that would take years to learn alone. "You are talented," she said one afternoon as we reviewed plans together. "Very talented, but also passionate. And passion is what separates good architects from great ones. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you." She looked at me, studying me. "Can I ask a personal question?" "You can try. Why are you really here?" she asked. "Not the official story. The truth. Why is an architect of your caliber working exclusively for Adrian Constantine?" "Family debt," I replied. "An edited but true version. My brother did something stupid. This is the way to pay." Sophia nodded slowly. "I understand. And when the debt is paid, when the year is over, what will you do?" "I'll go back to my life. Independent work. Build a career on my terms." "Are you sure?" she asked gently. "Because I've seen the way you look at him, and the way he looks at you, and it doesn't look temporary. It looks like something more." My stomach tightened. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you?" She smiled sadly. Then maybe you should pay closer attention. Because whatever is happening between you two, it's changing both of you. And change like that? It's rarely temporary. She left before I could answer. Left the words hanging like smoke. And I couldn't get them out of my head. Because she was right. Something was changing. Between Adrian and me. It was no longer just boss and employee. It was more complex. More complicated. He had started including me in meetings beyond architecture. Business strategy discussions. Long-term planning. As if my opinion mattered beyond technical expertise. And our conversations? They had deepened. It was no longer just work reports at 5 p.m. It was philosophy, politics, art, life. He challenged me intellectually in ways no one else did. And I challenged him back. Disagreed openly, argued, and he loved it. I saw it in his eyes. That sparkle when I confronted him. That small smile when I proved him wrong about something, as if it were exactly what he wanted. Someone who wasn't afraid of him. But there was a line. An invisible line that we both carefully avoided. The line between professional and personal. Between respect and something more. And the longer time passed, the harder it became to maintain that line. One Thursday night, 3 months and 2 weeks after starting, I was working late. The team had left. The office was quiet. Just me and scattered plans, trying to solve a complicated structural problem. A knock on the door made me look up. "Adrian, you're still here," he said. It wasn't a question. "It's late." "I'm still here too," I pointed out. "You work late every day, but you don't have to. Not like I do." He walked into the office, looking at the plans. "What's giving you trouble?" "The support beam," I explained. "The original theater has a structure we didn't expect. If we remove it to connect the tower, we compromise historical integrity. If we keep it, we limit apartment designs. I need to find a third option." He studied the plans, his mind working. "I see the problem. What if," he traced a line with his finger, "you keep the beam, but expose it? Make it part of the design. Chic industrial feature?" I looked where he indicated, processing, and suddenly I saw it. I saw the solution that I had been looking at but not seeing. "That's brilliant," I admitted. "Exposed beam as a design element. Apartments pay more for authentic historical character, and preservation remains intact." "Exactly," he smiled. "Genuinely. We work well together." "Yes," I agreed. "We do." Silence fell, but not uncomfortable. Something different. Charged. "Mira," he began, his voice softer. "Yes? Thank you. For these 3 months. For transforming not just the project but my entire approach. You made me see that legal and profitable are not mutually exclusive. I just did what you hired me to do. You did more than that," he insisted, stepping closer. "Much more. You challenged me, forced me to think differently, to be better. And that is priceless." He was close now. Very close. Invading my personal space in a way that made my heart race. "Adrian," I began, but I didn't know how to finish, because part of me wanted to pull back, maintain a safe distance, but another part wanted to see what would happen if I didn't pull back. "I won't do anything you don't want," he said softly, "but I need to know, is this just me, or do you feel it too?" "What?" I whispered, even though I knew exactly what he meant. "This," he said, gesturing between us. "This connection, this tension, this something that has been growing for months, and we're both pretending doesn't exist. I can't," I managed to say. "You are my boss. I'm here out of obligation. Anything between us would be an imbalance of power. It would be wrong." "You are here out of obligation," he agreed. "But feelings are not obligated. They are a choice. And if you choose nothing, I accept. I will respect it. But if you feel even a tenth of what I feel, then it's worth risking honesty." "I don't know what I feel," I admitted. "Everything is confused. You were supposed to be the villain, the person who forced me. But the more I get to know you, the more I see a person. Complex, wounded, trying to be better. And that makes everything complicated." "Good," he said, stepping back slightly. "Complicated is better than indifferent. It means something is there, something worth exploring." When you are ready. If you are ready. He walked to the door. Stopped. Looked back. Go home, Mira. Rest. And think about what you said. No pressure, no expectations, just honesty. He left, leaving me alone with the plans, with the solution he had given me, with the confession he had made, and with the truth I didn't want to admit, the truth Sophia had seen, the truth I had been denying. I was developing feelings for Adrian Constantine, feelings that went beyond professional respect, feelings that were dangerous, impossible, completely inappropriate, but real, so terribly real. And I didn't know what to do with it, because in 9 months, this agreement ended. And then what? Would I go back to my normal life as if nothing had happened? As if I hadn't fundamentally changed? As if I hadn't met a man who saw me in ways no one else did? I didn't have answers, only confusion and fear. Fear that when the year ended, I wouldn't be able to leave, because the heart didn't understand contracts. The heart didn't respect timelines, and my heart was starting to belong to a man I should never have met. The following week was strange, tense in ways I couldn't name. Adrian kept his distance, professional, respectful, as he promised. But there was something in his eyes every time we crossed paths. A silent question, waiting for an answer I wasn't ready to give. Work continued. The Century Theater project entered the construction phase. Seeing drawings turn into reality was a satisfaction I hadn't expected. Every day, the team visited the site, supervised the progress, ensured that the vision was being executed correctly. Marcus led the structural supervision. Yuki, interiors. And I ensured that every detail of preservation was respected. Every historical molding, every stained glass window, every element that made the Century Theater special. It was work I loved, a purpose I had always wanted, and I was doing it with resources independent architects dreamed of. I should have been happy, but I wasn't, because Adrian's confession had changed the dynamic. It had forced me to acknowledge feelings I preferred to ignore, and the more I tried not to think, the more I thought. On a Tuesday, 5 days after his conversation, everything changed. I was at the construction site with Marcus when a man approached. Expensive suit, dark glasses, a posture that screamed danger. "Miss Castellano," he said. "Yes? I need you to come with me. Please." It wasn't a request. Marcus tensed. "Who are you?" "I work for Mr. Volkov, Mr. Constantine's rival, and my boss would like to have a word with the talented architect who is making such an impression." "I'm not going anywhere with you," I said firmly, not without speaking to Adrian first. He smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Constantine doesn't need to know everything. And the conversation is just that, a conversation about future opportunities, about how much you could earn working for the right people." Marcus grabbed his phone. "I'm calling Mr. Constantine. Now." The man held his wrist, not so firm that it hurt, but firm enough to be a threat. "Don't do that. It would be misinterpreted. My boss just wants to offer an opportunity. Nothing sinister." "That's coercion," I managed to say, my heart pounding wildly. "And I'm not going anywhere." "Then perhaps your brother would like to visit Mr. Volkov," the man said casually. "Lucas, how do you know about my brother?" "We know many things," he said, "including where he works, where he lives, and how easy it would be to invite him for a chat, too." My blood ran cold. It was a threat, veiled but clear. "Leave her alone." Adrian's voice cut the tension like a blade. He was there. I didn't know where he had come from, but he was there, with 3 of his men, all discreetly armed. Volkov's man backed away. He smiled. Constantine, always so protective of his staff, just offering a business opportunity. "Offering veiled threats," Adrian corrected, voice low. "Dangerous. Against my architect. Against her family. On my construction site. That is a declaration of war." "Not a war," the man said. "Just a reminder. A reminder that you are not the only player in town, that talent can be shared. Or stolen." "Leave," Adrian said. "Now, before my hospitality runs out and something unpleasant happens." The man nodded. "No hurry, no fear. See you later, Miss Castellano. The offer remains open. Think about it." He left with the same casual confidence he arrived with. And when he disappeared, when I was safe, my legs nearly gave out. Adrian held my elbow, firm, stabilizing. "Are you okay?" He threatened Lucas. "How does he know about Lucas?" "Because men like Volkov investigate," Adrian said. "They look for weaknesses, leverage. And you? You are obvious, talented, successful, and you work for me. So, naturally, you become a target. That's not fair." "It's not," he agreed. "But it is reality. And now? Now we increase security. For you. For Lucas. Until this passes. For how long? Until Volkov understands that you are not available. That touching you is touching my organization. And that has consequences." Marcus had called the rest of the team, told them what happened. And within an hour, everyone knew that Adrian's rival had tried to recruit me, that he had threatened my brother, that a territorial war was beginning. And I was in the center of it. Yuki pulled me aside after the emergency meeting. "Are you scared?" she asked. "Terrified," I admitted. "I didn't know this was part of the job, defending yourself from rival mafias." "Usually it's not," she said. "But you are special. Your work is drawing attention. And attention in Adrian's world? It always comes with danger. I don't know if I can do this." "You can," she said firmly. "Because Adrian won't let anything happen to you. I saw the way he looked when that man threatened you. I saw anger and fear and determination. You are more than just an employee to him. You are something more." I said nothing, because she was right, and that made everything more complicated. That night, Adrian called me to his office, locked the door behind me. "You need to leave the city," he said without preamble. "For how long? A week, maybe 2, until I deal with Volkov, until I ensure the threat is neutralized. I can't leave. The project needs me. The project can wait." "Your life can't." "I'm not a child," I protested. "I won't hide while you fight my battles." "It's not your battle," he said. "It's mine. You became a target because you work for me, because I brought you into this world. And now I protect what is mine. What is yours?" I repeated. "I'm a person, not property." "Poor choice of words," he admitted. "But the point remains. You are in danger. And I can't focus on dealing with Volkov if I'm worried about your safety every second. And Lucas, he needs to leave too. It's already arranged. A safe house, outside the city, guards, everything he needs, until the danger passes." I looked at Adrian, at the man who had forced me to work for him, who was now trying to protect me with everything he had, and I saw it. I saw that this was no longer about a contract, about a forced agreement. It was personal. Very personal. For both of us. "All right," I agreed. 1 week. But I will continue working remotely. The project doesn't stop. Remotely, he agreed. From a safe location, with security. "And Mira?" "Yes?" "When you come back. When this passes, we need to have a real conversation about what this is, about where we are going. Because I can't pretend anymore. I can't pretend either," I admitted softly. "Then we won't pretend anymore," he said. "When you return. No lies, no masks, only the truth." We nodded, a silent agreement. And when I left that office, when I started packing for the forced trip, I realized that Volkov had done something no one else could. He had forced my hand, forced me to admit feelings, forced me to confront the truth that I was developing something deep for Adrian Constantine. And when I returned, when that week ended, I would have to decide if the feelings were real or products of circumstance, decide if I could love a man who had coerced me, decide if a future with him was possible, or if it was just a fantasy born of an impossible situation. I didn't have answers, but I had a week to find them. A week away from him, away from work, away from everything, to finally think clearly and discover what I really wanted. When the masks fell, when the truth was inevitable, what would I choose? The safe house was an isolated cabin 2 hours outside Silverton City, surrounded by forest, a private lake, discreet but present security. It was beautiful, peaceful, and completely suffocating. Lucas arrived the next day, scared but whole. "Sister, what is happening?" he asked as soon as the guards left us alone. Complications, I replied. From work. Dangerous men wanting to use me against Adrian. So we're hiding? We're safe, I corrected. Until Adrian resolves the situation. A week. Maybe 2. Lucas studied me. You've changed, he finally said, since you started working for him. How so? You look older, more tired, but also more alive in a way, as if you finally found something that challenges you. It's not just work, is it? I don't know what you're talking about. I know I'm not a complete idiot, he said. I saw how you talk about the projects, about the team, about him. There's something there, Mira. Something beyond obligation. He's the reason you're here, I reminded him. If you hadn't leaked those plans, I would never have made a deal with Adrian. I know, he said softly. And I'm sorry, every day, for putting you in this position, for forcing you to negotiate your freedom for my safety. It wasn't your fault, I said, although a part of me still blamed him. You were manipulated. Used. And I made the choice I had to make. But are you happy? He asked. With the work? With the life? With him? The question caught me off guard, because no one had asked me if I was happy. Only if I was safe, if I was fulfilling the contract, if I was surviving. But happiness? I don't know, I admitted. The work is incredible. The best I've ever had. Resources are unlimited. Projects are challenging. The team is talented. And Adrian? He treats me with respect. He challenges me intellectually. He sees me in ways no one else does. So what's the problem? The problem is that I didn't choose it. It was forced. And now I'm developing feelings for a man who coerced me. And I don't know if the feelings are real or just some kind of syndrome. Lucas nodded slowly. Stockholm Syndrome crossed my mind. But, he continued, I also saw you with him. That first day when they released me. I saw how he looked at you. And it wasn't the look of a jailer at a prisoner. It was something more. Something protective. Possessive even. But also admiring. It doesn't justify how it started. No, he agreed. But maybe it matters how it is now. And where it can go. If you let it. We spent the next few days in the cabin. Working remotely. Marcus sent updates from the construction site. Yuki, design questions. Sophia, approval issues. And Adrian called every day, reports on security, on progress dealing with Volkov, but also just conversations. About nothing. About everything. As if he just wanted to hear my voice. Thursday night, the 4th day in the cabin, he called after midnight. I couldn't sleep, he said. I wanted to hear your voice. How are you? Bored, restless, wanting to go back. A few more days. Volkov is being stubborn. But I'm close to resolving it. Are you safe? I asked before thinking. I am, he said, and there was surprise in his voice, as if he didn't expect me to care. Always careful, always prepared. But thank you for asking. Silence fell, comfortable but charged. Mira, he said finally. Yes? I've thought a lot. This week. About us. About what I said before you left. And I've come to a conclusion. What? When you come back, I'm going to give you a choice. A real choice. You can terminate the contract now. 6 months early. You can leave. No penalties. No obligations. Lucas stays safe. You go free. Or you stay. Not out of obligation, but out of choice. And we see where this goes. No contracts. No forced agreements. Just 2 people seeing if the connection is real. Why would you do that? I whispered. Why would you release me from the deal? Because I realized something, he said. I realized that if you stay out of obligation, I'll never know. I'll never know if the feelings are real or built on coercion. And I need to know. Even if the answer is that you leave. I need to know that if you stay, it's because you want to. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything now, he said. Think. Use these days. Away from me. Away from work. Away from everything. And when you return, give me an answer. Any answer. And I will accept it. I promise. We hung up, and I stood there in the darkness of the room. Processing. He was giving me an out. A real choice. After 6 months. After everything, he was willing to let me go because he wanted certainty. He wanted me to stay for the right reasons. And that changed everything. Because Adrian Constantine, the most feared man in Silverton City, was being vulnerable. He was risking rejection. He was choosing my freedom over his control. And that said more about his character than anything. I spent the next 2 days thinking, really thinking, about what I wanted, who I was, where I saw my life. I thought about life before Adrian. Independence, freedom, but also loneliness, small projects, limited resources, security but not growth. I thought about life with Adrian. Challenges, resources, growth, but also complication, danger, a world I had never chosen. And I thought about the feelings. Were they real, or were they a product of circumstance? Stockholm Syndrome, or a genuine connection? Saturday night, the 6th day in the cabin, Lucas found me on the porch, looking out at the lake, thinking. Decided? He asked. I think so. And? I'm going back, I said, but not to finish the contract. I'm going back to give it a chance. A real chance. No obligations. Just to see what this is. Lucas smiled. You're in love with him. I don't know if it's love, I admitted, but it's something. Something strong. Something I want to explore. Even knowing the risks. Even knowing it might not work. Because if I don't try, I'll always wonder. I'll always question what could have been. He hugged me. Then I hope it's real. And that he deserves you. Because you deserve happiness, sister. After everything you sacrificed. After everything you did for me. You deserve to be happy. Sunday morning, Adrian called. It's resolved, he said. Volkov and I reached an agreement. You are safe. Lucas is safe. You can come back. How? The details don't matter, he said. What matters is that it's over, that you can return to normal life. And Mira? Yes? Have you thought about what I said? I have thought about it. And I have an answer. But not over the phone. In person. When I return, I can live with that, he said. But I heard the tension in his voice. When are you coming back? Tomorrow. First thing in the morning. I'll be waiting. In the office. Adrian? Yes? Thank you. For giving me a choice. For respecting me enough to let me decide. I will always respect you, he said softly. No matter what you choose. But I will admit, I'm hoping you choose to stay. Because life without you this week, it was empty in ways I didn't expect. Until tomorrow. Until tomorrow. We hung up. And for the first time in a week, I smiled. I really smiled. Because I was making a choice. Not forced. Not coerced. But free. And the choice was him. It was us. It was seeing if the impossible could become possible. Monday morning arrived with a mix of nervousness and anticipation. Lucas returned to his apartment. With discreet security. Just a precaution. And I drove to the office, my heart beating faster with every mile. I arrived at 8, earlier than normal, because I knew Adrian would be there. He always was. Irina greeted me with a warm smile. Welcome back, Miss Castellano. He's waiting. In his office. Thank you. I walked down the familiar hallway, passing the team who nodded, passing the projects that continued even in my absence. And I stopped in front of his door. I took a deep breath. I knocked. Come in. I opened it. And there he was, behind the desk, impeccable suit. But there was something different. Tension in his shoulders, slight dark circles under his eyes, as if he hadn't slept well either. He stood up, came around the desk, stopped a few feet away, maintaining a respectful distance. Welcome back. Thank you. How was it? The week? Clarifying, I replied honestly. It gave me time to think. To process, to understand what I really want. Silence fell. Charged. Heavy. And? He asked finally, and there was a vulnerability in his voice I had never heard. What did you decide? Before I answer, I need to know something. What? Why did you do it? Why did you offer to release me? After 6 months of a fulfilled contract, you could have kept me for 6 more. Why give me a choice now? He walked to the window, looking out at the city. Because I realized that what started as a business transaction turned into something more, at least for me. And keeping you captive when I feel what I feel, it would be torture, for both of us. He turned back to face me. I'd rather lose you knowing it was your choice than keep you knowing it's an obligation. Because love built on coercion, it's not love, it's a prison. And you deserve more than that. Love? I repeated. You said love. He didn't back down. Didn't apologize. He said it. Because that's what it is. I fell in love with you, Mira Castellano, with your strength, your integrity, your refusal to bow down even when it would have been easier, with the way you challenge me, the way you think, the way you passionately care about your work. I fell completely in love, and that changes everything. Tears threatened, because there was a brutal truth in that, a truth I saw in his eyes. I fell in love too, I admitted. I didn't want to. I fought against it. I told myself it was some kind of syndrome, that it was just circumstance, but it's not. It's real, so terribly real that it scares me. He crossed the distance between us, held my face with both hands. Then stay, he said. Not because of the contract, not because of obligation, but because you want to. Because you see a future here. With me. With the work. With the life we can build together. I have conditions, I managed to say. Of course you have conditions, he smiled. There are always conditions. What are they? First, the contract ends. Now, I work for you as a real employee, at market salary, with the freedom to accept other clients if I want. No obligations beyond professional ones. Accepted. Second, Lucas stays out of it. Completely. No threats, no leverage, no nothing. He is my brother and he will remain safe. Always. Adrian promised. You have my word. Third, you work on getting out. Completely. From the illegal operations. I know it can't be instantaneous. I know it takes time. But I need to know you are trying. That you are building a legacy that doesn't involve crime. Pause. Then. Already. I started, the last 3 months, transferring operations. Focusing on legitimate businesses. You inspired me. You showed me there's a better way. And I will continue. For you. For us. For the future I want to build. And fourth, I said, the final condition. We take it slow. No pressure. No expectations. Just seeing where this goes. Because yes, I feel something. But I'm also scared. Scared that the feelings were built on impossible circumstances. So I need time to be sure. Real time. No contracts. No agreements. Just time. As long as you need. He said. Months. Years. I don't care. Because now I know you're here by choice. And that's all I need. He kissed my forehead. Long. Reverent. Not my lips. Not yet. But a promise of more. When I was ready. Thank you, he whispered, for giving me a chance. For seeing past what I forced. For believing I can be better. You already are better, I said. You just need to keep going. And I'll help you. If you let me. I'll always let you. He promised. The next few months were different. Completely different. Because it was no longer prisoner and jailer. It was no longer boss and forced employee. It was architect and developer. It was woman and man. Exploring a connection. Seeing if the love they felt survived without the pressure of circumstance. Adrian kept every promise. The contract was torn up. A new one was created. Fair terms. Generous salary. Freedom to work for other clients if I wanted. And surprisingly, I didn't want to. Because the work with him was exactly what I wanted. Large projects. Unlimited resources. Constant challenges. And a team that had become family. Lucas was safe. Working. Studying. Building a life. Without the shadow of threats. Without fear. And Adrian? Adrian was genuinely leaving. Slowly but consistently. Transferring illegal operations. Focusing on legitimate development. Using his connections for good. And what about us? Our first real dinner was a week after I returned. Not a business dinner, but a date. A real date. He picked me up, opened the door, was a gentleman, and we talked. Not about work, but about life, dreams, fears, hopes. Our first kiss was 2 weeks later, after unveiling the final designs for the Century Theater, after a massive success, after a celebration. He drove me home, walked me to the door, and asked, May I? You may. And when our lips met, when we finally crossed the line we had been circling, everything made sense. Because it wasn't a kiss built on obligation. It was a choice. It was two people who had crossed the impossible and found something real on the other side. When we broke apart, he held my face. I love you, he said. And this time it's not complicated. It's not circumstantial. It's just the truth. I love you too, I replied. And it's terrifying and exciting and everything I never planned. But it's real. More real than anything. Good, he smiled. Because I'm not going anywhere. And I hope you won't either. I won't, I promised. Not when I've finally found where I belong. 6 months after the confession. 1 full year since that first day in his office. And life was unrecognizable. The Century Theater had opened. A huge ceremony. The mayor present. The press covering it. And the recognition? My design won a National Preservation Award. My name was in every architecture publication. And offers? They arrived daily. But I stayed with Adrian. Because the work was exactly what I wanted. And because he was exactly who I wanted. The relationship had grown. Slowly but consistently. No pressure. No rush. Just two people learning each other. Getting to know. Loving. We still live separately. My choice. Because I needed to maintain my independence. Prove to myself that I could have a career and a relationship without sacrificing my identity. And Adrian completely respected it. We had dinner together most nights. Weekends were ours, but we also had space. Breathing room. Balance. Lucas had met a girlfriend. Sophia. Sweet. Smart. And for the first time, he seemed genuinely happy. Settled. Mature. When we gathered for family dinners, it was perfect. My brother. The man I loved. A chosen family. The team at work had also become family. Marcus, now a real friend. Yuki, a confidant. Sophia, a mentor. David and James, colleagues who respected and admired me. It wasn't just work. It was community. Purpose. A professional home I had never had. And Adrian had kept his promise. He was completely out of illegal operations. Officially, the Bratva was managed by the successor he chose, Takeshi Yamamoto. A loyal man who understood the vision, clean operations, strategic, less violent. Adrian maintained a consulting position, respect, but not daily involvement. He focused on Constantine development, which was now a legitimate empire, respected, with a reputation for responsible development that preserved while building. One Friday, exactly 1 year after the first day, Adrian called me to his office. "Close the door," he said. Serious but not tense. I sat down, my heart accelerating, because the tone was different. Important. "There's something I need to show you," he said, sliding an envelope across the desk. I opened it. Inside, documents. A deed. For a building in the historic center. Small. Charming. Perfect for an architecture office. "It's yours," he said. "If you want it. Your own office. Independent. Where you can build a firm under your name. You don't have to leave Constantine Development if you don't want to. But the option is there. Real freedom." "Adrian, this is too much." "It's not enough," he corrected. "For everything you've done. For transforming not just projects but my entire life. For showing me a better way. It's just the beginning of saying thank you." Tears burned. Because the gesture wasn't about control. It was about liberation. It was about giving me the tools to be completely independent. "Thank you," I managed to say, "for believing in me. For giving me not just opportunity but freedom. Always," he promised. "And Mira, there's something else." "What?" "My sister, Anastasia. I found a lead, a real lead, after 20 years. And I need to follow it. It will take me to Russia. For how long? I don't know. Weeks, maybe months. But I won't go until I know you're okay. That we're okay. We are okay," I assured him. "More than okay. And you need to go. You need to find answers. You need to close this chapter. Come with me," he suddenly said. "To Russia. As a partner. As the person I want by my side." "I can't," I replied, hating to say it. The projects here need me. Century Theater Phase 2 is starting. But when you come back, I'll be waiting. He nodded. Understanding. Respecting. I leave next week. And when I come back, when I have answers, we'll have a conversation. About the future. About where this goes. About making it permanent. Permanent? I repeated. He held my hand across the desk. Marry me. Eventually. When you're ready. When you know for sure. Because I love you. And I want to build a life with you. Not just a relationship, but a complete partnership. My heart exploded with emotion. Ask me when you return. When you find your sister. When you have peace. Then I will answer. His smile was everything. A promise. Hope. The future. Adrian left the following Monday. The goodbye at the airport was bittersweet. Come back safe, I said, hugging him. And find her. Bring answers. I'll try, he promised. And Mira, think about what I asked. Because when I return, I want an answer. I'll think about it. I promise. He left. And for the first time in a year, I was alone. Truly alone. Not forced, not trapped, but choosing to stay. Choosing to continue working. Choosing to build. The first few weeks were strange. Used to his presence. To the daily dinners. To the conversations. But they were also liberating. Because they proved I could exist independently. That the relationship didn't define me. It complemented me. I focused on work. Century Theater Phase 2. The residential tower was going up. Apartment selling records. And the reputation? Growing exponentially. A national architecture magazine did a profile. They called me the architect who is redefining urban preservation. Awards arrived. Invitations to speak. Offers from universities to teach. It was everything I had always wanted. Recognition. Respect. Impact. Adrian called every night. Reports on the search. He had found a woman who claimed to know Anastasia. He was following the leads. Hopeful but cautious. And he always asked about me. About work. About life. As if he needed to hear I was fine without him. I'm fine, I assured him. Busy. Happy. But missing you. I miss you too, he said. More than I imagined. More than I should after such a short time apart. But I do. The fourth week, the call was different. I found her, he said, his voice breaking. I found Anastasia. Is she alive? She is. Alive. Married. With children. Living in a small village outside Moscow. She was sold to a family who wanted a daughter. They raised her as their own. She doesn't remember me. Doesn't remember the life before. Oh, Adrian, I whispered. I'm so sorry. No, he said. Don't be. Because she's okay, happy, has a good life. And that's all that matters. Knowing she survived, that she is safe. Did you talk to her? I did. I told her who I am. She didn't believe me at first. But then she saw photos. Saw the resemblance. And she cried. Cried for a life she doesn't remember but feels she lost. Are you coming home? I asked. Are you bringing her? She doesn't want to come, he said. Her life is here. Her husband. Her children. I can't tear her away. But we'll stay in touch. I'll meet her family. Be a part of her life. And that is enough. When are you coming back? Next week. Because I found what I was looking for. And now I want to come back to you. To the life we built. To the future I want. I love you, I said. And I'm proud of you. For never giving up. For finding her. For letting her choose. I love you too. And Mira? Yes? Have you thought about the question? I have thought about it. A lot. And I'll give you the answer when I return. In person. I can live with that. Barely. Adrian returned on a Thursday. I told the team I would leave early. I picked him up at the airport. When I saw him walking through the gate, my heart leaped. He looked different. Lighter. As if the weight he had carried for 20 years had been lifted. I ran to him. He picked me up, spun me around, kissed me like a man who had been in the desert and found water. I missed you, he said against my lips. So much. I missed you too. I took him to his apartment. His because mine was small and we wanted privacy. And there, finally together, we talked. He showed me photos of Anastasia, beautiful, happy, with family. She looks at peace, I observed. She is, he agreed. And that gives me peace too. After 20 years, I can finally breathe. He held my hands. And now I want to focus on the future. On us. So I ask again. Officially. Marry me, Mira Castellano. Be my partner. In everything. Work, life, future. I looked at him. At the man who had started as my captor. Who became my boss. Who transformed into my friend. And finally, into my love. And I knew. I knew with absolute certainty. Yes, I replied. 1,000 times yes. He pulled me into his arms. And when he kissed me, it was a promise. Of a future. Of partnership. Of love built not on coercion, but on choice. We'll do it the right way, he said. A real engagement. Time to plan. The wedding when you want. On your terms. Always on my terms, I joked. Always, he agreed seriously. Because you taught me that control is not love, that respect is, that partnership means equality, and I will spend the rest of my life honoring that. We got married 6 months later. Spring. A small ceremony. The Century Theater we had restored together. The symbolism was not lost. The place where everything had begun to change. Where Adrian had chosen preservation over destruction. Where I had proven that principles and pragmatism could coexist. My family came, distant cousins, friends. And his family. Anastasia flew from Russia with her husband and children. The first time she had left the country. The first time she had seen her brother in 20 years. And the team, the whole team. Marcus, Yuki, David, Sophia, James, witnesses to the journey. The vows were written by us. I promised to respect you, I said, to challenge you, to support you, to love you, through everything. Complications, dangers, sacrifices. I choose you, every day. Always. I promise to honor you, he said, to value you, to listen to you. You transformed me. You showed me a better way. You taught me that real strength is vulnerability, that real love is liberating. I love you, and I will spend my life proving it. When we kissed, when we were pronounced married, I knew we had traveled an impossible path, from captor and prisoner to equal partners, from coercion to choice, from hate to love, and it was worth it. Every painful moment, every difficult choice, every tear, it was worth it to get here. 1 year married, life had found a beautiful rhythm. I opened my firm, Castellano Architecture, focused on historical preservation and sustainable development. Adrian was the first client, but not the only one. I had a team of 10, projects in 3 states, international recognition. And Adrian? Constantine development was totally legitimate, respected, with projects that preserved while they built, that honored the past while creating the future. We live together now. A penthouse we chose together. Not his, not mine, ours. And it was perfect. One afternoon, working at home, I felt it. Nausea, tiredness, different. I took a test, and I found out. I was pregnant. I told Adrian that night, holding the test, my hands shaking. He looked, processed it. Then he smiled. That rare but devastating smile. Are we having a baby? We are. How do you feel? Terrified. Excited. Everything at once. He pulled me into his arms. We're going to be good parents. Better than ours. We're going to give this child love. Choices. Freedom. We are, I promised. Labor was long. Intense. But Adrian was there. Every moment. Being strength when I needed it. Being gentle when I needed it. At 11:13 in the morning, our daughter was born. Nina, a name we chose together. Russian and American. Like us. The nurse placed her in my arms. Small. Perfect. A miracle. Adrian sat down beside me, looking at our daughter with admiration. She is perfect, he whispered. Completely perfect. She is, I replied. And she is ours. Our family. Our life. Our future. He kissed my forehead. Thank you. For giving me this. For transforming my life. For showing me that real love exists. You gave me the same thing. And as I held our daughter, with the man I loved beside me, I thought about the impossible journey. From confrontation on that construction site to this. From hate to love, from prisoner to partner, from force to choice, and it was worth it. Everything was worth it, because it gave us this. Family, love, a future built not on coercion but on daily choice, on mutual respect, on real partnership. Adrian looked at me. I love you, he said. You and Nina, my complete family. I love you too. And thank you. For what? For finally being someone real. For making me want to be better. For building a life worth living. He smiled. I will always be someone real with you. Always. Nina was 3 months old. Perfect, healthy, and completely loved. I balanced motherhood with work. It wasn't easy. But Adrian shared everything. Nights, diapers, responsibilities, a real partner. One afternoon, working at home while Nina slept, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Miss Castellano? Yes? I'm Agent Morrison. FBI. My stomach tightened. About? Your old project with Mr. Constantine. Century Theater. We want to hire you. A federal preservation project. Big. Important. I was interested, but cautious. Because my past with the FBI wasn't good. Marcus Kane. Manipulation. I need to think about it. Of course. But there's something else. We found a connection. Between Kane and Volkov, the man who threatened you. They worked together. And we have reason to believe there's still a network. A network that might target you. Or your family. My blood ran cold. What are you saying? Saying that security might be necessary. Temporary. Until we clear the network. I'll talk to Adrian. We'll see. I hung up. And as I looked at Nina sleeping peacefully, as I thought about the life we built, I realized the past never completely disappears. It always comes back. In one way or another. But this time I wasn't alone. I had Adrian. I had family. I had a choice. And together, we would face anything. As we always did. As we always would. Thank you for following this incredible story. From Mira confronting Adrian to defend her brother to building a family together. What a journey. Tell me in the comments. Do you want to know what happens with this new threat? And don't forget to tell me where you are listening from. If you like the story, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. See you next time.